Greetings, everyone. This is Surviving and Winning. I wanted to really get some things off my chest because it's a pretty hard burden to keep it to myself. And then there's a real good uh, release with sharing it with others because it can relieve others as well. Everyone may not be able to relate. So um, I really don't look at the numbers. What I Hi, Miss TR. I really appreciate your sentiments on my last live. I haven't had a chance to respond back. The one thing that I really appreciate and inspires me, Miss TR, is just the opportunity to even meet you. And you may not know how much your words mean, but I was getting on to kind of share and release because sometimes people are so before diagnosis. There's a lot of superficial relationships I did not know I had. I did not know that when people smiled and greeted me and said hello and said I'm praying for you and love you and all this other stuff, I didn't know they were just talking, right? So when your life is just right there and you could be here or be gone, that they would give like they would throw out these same like superficial sayings. And I realized that sometimes it's about the fact that um you can actually be in a position where you don't know if you're going to live or die, and you are placing this other person in a position of their own mortality. And at least when you were in the doctor's office and they first said you have cancer, it jars you, right? So everybody that you tell that to is jarred. So I've learned that, like, I have to understand that I've had like an opportunity to digest things, but they haven't. And then I've also learned that there's some people really don't care, and I thought they did, and I don't know the difference. And I'm in such a state that I can't think about anything else but my own health. Like I always thought, and if you want to come on and be part of the broadcast, you're welcome, Miss TR. But I just wanted to share, and if you could, even in the comments or anything, just help me digest it. But one of the things that was is hardest for me is that prior to my cancer diagnosis, I was helping all these other people with the things that I was going through, that I was going to go through in the future. And so I wasn't one of those people that was selfish and just didn't think about myself. I thought about other people all the time. And then I won't say it's my turn, but it was like, I felt like there were some people betrayed me that, yes, I understand. Yeah, yeah, the nowhere around. And the thing was that's what, like, here I am with a new diagnosis, and like a new diagnosis and losing your best friend at the same time. And I found that like the people that I thought were my best friends were not my best friends. The people who were my best friends were people who didn't even talk Like, I would never have known that they even cared. And I think that some people may feel the same way about me because I was always quiet. Like, I want to be loud, but I don't do it that often because it takes a lot of out of me to share myself with others, especially after this. And before this, I guess I shared a little bit more, but growing up, I was always shy. Like, I didn't need people to know what I was feeling or anything like that. I just felt what I felt. I was more like I was artistic, so if I wanted to, I'd draw or I would write or I would do it in some other way other than public speaking. I was an athletic person. I'm still, I was a tomboy, so I'm still one to this day. I like doing, things that require people to get that close to me. And when people get sad or this is the worst thing. When people feel like you are using cancer for attention, that is never ever I never even really liked attention. Um, and that went back to childhood because attention during my childhood abuse. And so I didn't really want attention. And I wouldn't play sick for attention. Actually, when I was sick when I was younger, I wouldn't even tell my mom I was sick. My parents didn't even know I was sick prior to my cancer diagnosis. I was getting sicker and sicker, and I didn't have insurance. And so I feel like I would have lived longer or would have had a better chance if I was able to seek help. My employer would have allowed me to take a day off work to go to the doctor. That I could have been diagnosed sooner. So that goes well back into healthcare, which I'm fighting for because I'm talking about life, but like just saving your life. I said, well, my life will be bigger. I will be more than just one life if I save other people's lives. And the thing about me saying I don't feel well is, or I'm sick, or I'm going in the hospital, I never really shared how my family dealt with that because um, I have my mother has been diagnosed with dementia. My father was in a car accident and um, he had to have brain surgery. All of this while right at the end of my treatment, and I was too sick to do anything. And my mom had a pulmonary embolism, and he was taking her to the doctor because she couldn't breathe or walk real well. And on the way back, they got in a car accident because the doctor did not. She'd been complaining and complaining and complaining, and he never would get her the X-ray she needed. So after a car accident where my father broke a rib, he was T-boned in a car accident, had a brain injury and a brain bleed, and she was in the passenger side. They still gave her blood thinners because she had so many clots in her lungs that she was on the verge of death. They said she would die in 3 months, and she had insurance. So if your doctor dismisses you when you're talking, and I'm just gonna be I just can't sugarcoat stuff because we don't have time for that. If you have Usually when you get a male doctor, they're going to dismiss a female symptoms. And if that person is elderly and they go there alone or no one's in the room with them, they're going to dismiss. But if you get your primary care physician is most likely going to dismiss you, go to the ER. They have to treat you. Real talk. And so that's one of the things because I could have lost my mom like over a year ago. And so I'm real big on healthcare and medical care. And prior to that, the way that you eat and the foods you ingest, I'll go into that a lot later. The point of my discussion because I know I went around, but I'm really going to come back to the middle and say, how people react, because sometimes people react and act like, well, you're not really that sick or you don't look sick. Um, I didn't have to go through chemo, so I have all of my hair. Thank you, Miss TR. I have all of my hair. So when I go and say I have cancer, I don't look sick enough. I never had chemo, but I only get surgery. So where I said Phylos tumor is actually the technical name is cystosarcoma. Cystosarcoma is CYSTO sarcoma. It's still a cancer. It's very rare, but it's a sarcoma. They don't respond to chemo and radiation. So most of the time I'm gonna have surgery. So what I'm working on now is physical therapy from my last surgery, so that I will physically be healthy enough in case I need surgery again. I guess what they used to call it, they used to tell people they're in remission. Yes, Miss DR. That, oh my gosh, radiation is hard. I have not been through chemo, but I could not imagine chemo and radiation. Oh man, my heart goes out to you because and I see people who go through that, and people think, I promise you, people think it's just about losing your hair. That's just what that physical beauty we're expected to have as a woman. I think that's what it is, because a lot of times when if you have breast cancer, uh they'll they'll tell you how you can augment your breast and things like that. And Miss TR, if you would like to come on, we can speak together. You can. If you don't want to, and you also, you don't have to come on as yourself, or you don't have to come on like um as far as showing your physical self at the present time. You can block your video if you would like. If you want to be seen, you can. It will probably be easier, but I really like the back and forth of you. You seem to be a spiritual person. Yes. When oh yeah, my scarring. No one could, and that's one of the things. When I was getting sick, people say, "Oh no, you making it up." And this is my family members, because I was in a this is going to go into patriarchy, so I'm trying to stay out of that. But I had a really I was really successful. So um to do that and be among the matriarchy and patriarchy in the family, not matriarchy in the family, but the women under patriarchy in the family, it people say, you're not really sick. You didn't leave your job because you were sick. You left your job because you didn't succeed out there. And it was almost like a wish. But that radiation, oh my gosh, that I'm light in complexion. So my radiation, okay, okay. Don't do it on this live though. What we can do is afterwards, if you give that to me, then we'll do it that way, because I want to protect your privacy, because I know that this is extremely important, and you are too. And I do want you to feel protected and be protected. I protect myself as well. We've been through enough, but I really, really appreciate it. But radiation. There was one day I was I was laying in the bed because the radiation, it really makes you really, 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 really tired. And that's because your cells are dying and you have to grow them back. And then you're actually pretty sick. Radiation is, there's a reason that they want to drop nuclear bombs places. Nuclear bombs are radiation. There's a reason when they do a war, they want to um, drop a nuclear bomb on you. And there's radiation coming through the phones, the microwave, all kinds of stuff. It doesn't hurt at first. So I agree with you, Miss TR. And I was just saying that um, with family members, they're like, no, you didn't do this right, or you didn't. This was just wrong, or blah blah blah. But if a man does it in the patriarchy, if he loses his job or he says he doesn't feel well, they're trying to figure it out. In fact, if he goes to prison because he was selling drugs, everybody will try to back him up and try to figure out what kind of emotions he was going through at the time, or what job he couldn't get, or what was going. But a woman that goes in, I was in corporate America. Be honest, like I don't really talk about my degrees or anything like that because they try to shame us not to talk about them. But the scary part is that you can get all the. I was in the IT field, so most of us are contracted, so we don't get insurance. And I started getting sick while I was in grad school. So I once I graduated, they stopped looking into what was going on with me, and I was, oh yeah, 16 treatments, yes. And well, for me, it was, yeah, I think that yours was harsher than mine, because did you have chemo first, Miss TR? Because that, I think that I was able to get through more than four. Um, but I had 30. Um, yeah, yeah, that's why. See, Mr. TR, she'll be the first, like, oh man, I wish I could, like, if she get on a panel and we could just push this off into a certain sector that just for the breast cancer patients, or just for the cancer patients, this would be awesome, because I would really love to hear about that. Just simply because I have not done chemo, but I have been in groups, and it does so much to your body. And then for Miss TR to just like go through radiation after that, where her cells are already being broken down. Radiation is not a joke. And I think sometimes, like, I did not get chemo because of the type of cancer I had, that it's not taken as seriously, but it is serious. I have on my right lung, I have pulmonary fibrosis. That does not go away. It gets worse, and they've learned that the size of the pulmonary fibrosis does not tell you the uh, extent of what it does to your body, and it doesn't correct itself over time. It gets worse. And on my left side, I had part of my lung removed. And so when you're trying to tell your family this, you can't, because you have to explain it in medical terms, and you explain it to people who are not doctors, nurses, practitioners, anything. You're just a person that they used to know. And so that was my relationship change after diagnosis that hurts the most, because I'm not a liar, I'm a patient. even if I'm not in the hospital right now, like a lot of people can't relate, and I think Miss TR, you can relate, is that you're still a patient in the cancer hospital, even though you're home all the time. Oh, yeah, that's horrible. Keep getting sick. Oh, oh, wow. So this is my question to you. So if you so if you like so your prognosis depends on like can you imagine like if you are getting sick, then you're sitting there saying, well, while I'm sick, my cancer is growing. Like, is that the way that you would feel, Miss TR? Because that's how I feel. And while people are thinking I need attention or I care what people think, to be honest, I want to say that I'm not a mean person. I'm still a caring person, but I don't care about what people think. So I would not lie about my ailments or whether I'm sick or healthy. I'm in one way I feel like I'm being caring because I'm preparing people, and in another way I've also always been that type of person that everybody ran to when they needed something. And I'm telling them I can't do it for you right now because I don't feel well. And I'm telling them why I don't feel well. And then I'm being treated as though I'm making excuses. And I really, they're misunderstanding me because I don't care what people think about me. So if I don't want to do something, I will basically, I can be very blunt at times. I won't say I don't care what people think about me, but I want them to think about me in the truth and the light. So if I did something wrong, I still want you to think about me in my wrong and correct me, but I don't want to be thought of and I'm doing something right and you think I'm doing something wrong. I don't want to be misunderstood. So yeah, that's what you've had to say, your comments. Oh, okay. Okay. Cancer cells in the lymph. So, if you have cancer cells in your lymph nodes, does that mean that it's spread through the body yet, or does it mean that it's in the lymph nodes and they're trying to keep it in the lymph nodes? Because for me, um, once it spread to my lung, then everybody changed their tune about my treatment and what could be done. But my family, they think I'm stretching it out, and that I guess that's that. In a way that's hurtful, but in another way it's not. It's just it doesn't. Sorry for the pause. Um, I'm back, but yeah, I am so glad. I'm so glad, Miss Tia, that it worked. I'm so glad that that worked. And so that's another thing. While we have to fight for health care, I mean, um, this is not a joke. And I wanted to also say about the relationship change after diagnosis is that you make new friends. So, and that barrier between old and young, that changes too, because when you go through a life-changing experiences such as cancer, it tells you that uh, your life could end. And every time, every like for me, right now I have to be get a CT scan with contrast every 3 months. So every 3 months, and when I said, "Is that it?" They said, "That's it for now," which means they're uh they're expecting it to come back. So it's like I got a 3 month vacation. So when I do this 3 month vacation, I don't want to hear any negativity. I don't want to be bothered with any nonsense. The only reason I saw some other things going on in the sector was because I was bedridden and I just wanted to connect to somebody while I was in the bed that was real, that wasn't TV, that talked and could talk back. And then I started saying, well, like, this is way too negative, you know. But you find yourself on a different plane. Like you're not even here with you're physically in existence with everybody, but you're not physically in existence in the same thought level, the same thought process. Like you don't even, the things they take for granted don't matter anymore. The things that are most important are the only things that you see. And then your life, to be honest, there's a certain freedom with it. And then you get this new uh level of friendship. Like there's some people that came with me and some people I had to let go. And by letting some of those people go, I felt better. And then there were some people who took some time to get there. Because when my parents were abusive. And when after they start treating me bad, this is how the spiritual level works. They got into a very bad car accident where their lives were on the line. And because after this is a hard thing to speak about, though. I think I'll table that, but yeah, I'll table that. But they started to understand my life experience. They're in their 80s, but they had not ever been in a hospital before. Not like my mom had never been in a hospital at all till she was in her 80s. And my dad, and until that car accident, she had never been in a hospital. And they left me in the hospital. My mastectomy, I had two surgeries. My first was the first one it was like I left the same day. It was a lumpectomy, but the second one was a mastectomy. They left me in the hospital alone. I was supposed to have somebody, and I had already had my second cousin to stay with me, and they said no, let your mom stay. And she said I'm not gonna stay. It's too cold in here. And they said with dementia, they don't have they can lose empathy. And so we didn't know she had that. And so I was there in the hospital alone. They had to assign a nurse to me. And so I felt abandoned and alone. And she was having um, neural, she was having some signs that were going with her disease that we didn't even know she had. And we didn't find out until the car accident that she had those things. and she had all this other stuff. So it was like all this stuff just start falling into place spiritually though, because nobody really knew what it feels like to lose everything. I agree. Yes, Miss TR. You have to. You can't even stomach another person, and they don't understand that, but it's not for them to understand. They can't understand why you have to let them go. Also, one of the things about it is that you you do get you do go through your stages, and you have to be able to comfortably go through your stages, and um where somebody would feel like, well, you didn't tell us, or you didn't, they feel like they're not being comforted enough with what you're going through. So when I was having lung surgery, my parents were on a cruise. They were they were celebrating their anniversary, and I let them go because when I was in radiation treatment, that was their actual 50th anniversary, and they didn't go because of me. And so they were getting ready to go again, and I knew I was about to have it, and I just said, okay, they're going to go ahead and have I'm not going to be able to fix it. And because she has dementia, her doctor said, do not take her through any harsh changes. I was trying to save my mom's life, and it would cause her dementia to get worse. And, um, well, and it was a good decision. But I had someone in my family get mad at that decision and call me while I was in the hospital on like when you have lung surgery, you end up on a respirator. You end up in you start off in ICU, and then they put you in step down ICU. And I almost passed away like 3 days afterwards because they cut they think they cut a a vein, a pulmonary artery, not a pulmonary artery. What do they call it? A chyle. It's a vein that carries the minerals throughout your body. But yes, you're right. They don't understand you're fighting for your life because she was like, you need to call your mama, and I'm sitting there saying, like, they're on a cruise. I know what I'm doing. A person with dementia will forget the last thing you said, and every time you tell your mom you have cancer, the first time you tell her, she's going to be devastated. About a day later, she doesn't remember you have cancer. And if you tell her again, she's devastated again. And her mind, people don't understand dementia. Dementia is not about just forgetting things, it's about the brain. And you, she's so vulnerable. Her friend who introduced my parents to each other, her friend who introduced her and my father to each other, has ALS, and when she found out, she had a mini stroke, and we had to take her to the hospital, and she couldn't walk, she couldn't talk, like she really can't. I have to hide my illness from my own mother, and then you have people from the outside of the family that you don't really like them. They're in the family, they married in the family, you don't really like your cousins or whoever's wife or husband. And so you don't think they have your family's best interests at heart. She calls and you need to talk to your mother. You need to do this. You need to do that. Oh man, this is deep. I have a cousin that I really like, but his wife is not somebody I really like. So he would drop everything for me, and she doesn't like that. And you would think that, okay, we're cousins. So I'm not after your husband. He's my cousin. But that doesn't change anything. She was coming in between me and my family because I have a sister who's autistic, and it's just me and my sister. And we have to figure out who's going to take care of my sister after my parents pass away and if I pass away. And I had picked him. Well, she got ahead of herself. And she was going to tell me who I need to call, who I need to talk to, and stuff. Like, she was coming in between my family because they were looking at the money because they're counting on me dying. They're there at the hospital. So I have a lot. When I talk about relationships change after diagnosis, there are people who sit there and say, okay, your parents have 3 houses and they've got money. They gonna be leaving her something. She's about to die. She's in the family. Let me get in on this. And you don't die. That is that's amazing because we're only bringing people in because somebody needs to take care of my sister if I die. And I was close. And a lot of people don't understand that when you are in these kind of situations, um that you're not thinking about who likes you and who doesn't like you, or whether they feel like you should call your mom that you've lived with inside her stomach for 9 months, whether you call her or not. When you're in step down ICU tied to things, I shouldn't be worried about anything. And when and people feel like you're being selfish. No, because what you're thinking about the time, like if I die, what you would feel. But if I die, I lose everybody. You just lose one person, and that's me. But if I die, I lose everybody I was close to, and that's more than just you. And so I just wanted to, I don't know, I wanted to share that because I don't think people think about that. And people think about people who commit suicide and they say, "Oh, that person was selfish." No, you were selfish because you could have smiled at that person, you could have called that person, you could have done anything for that person that would have given them uh, a reason to live another day. You're the reason that they didn't want to live. Like, it's so unselfish. Yes, greedy and non-supportive as though they would never pass away. Everybody, nobody's gonna be here forever. Nobody. And the one thing that gives me the freedom and the to express myself is that I know this now, right? So I know this, and so like I have to be checked every 3 months. They're expecting it to come back, but I have to be checked every 3 months. And the day before that 3 months is like my vacation could be over tomorrow. And I sit in that wait. I can't sleep the night before, and I sit in that waiting room. And when she tells me you're okay, I say I got another 3 months. Most people don't. 3 months is not. They feel like they'll always have 3 months. They actually, um, from a fantasy type of mindset, think they have forever. So they can't even relate to you. And if you would, and if you were to say you could get sick and die, that puts them into existential crisis. Because, but I will put this, and I'm more a spiritual person than a religious person because I believe that religion divides people, and I don't believe that that's what the person, whoever created us, meant for us to um be, because we were all created somehow, and none of us can really tell outside of our own individual connection can say how we were created. We have to go back and get into ourselves and figure out how we were created and why we were created and for what purpose we were created. Nobody else can tell us, not even our parents. There's some women who don't even know who the father is. So how can they tell? How can anyone tell you what religion to be? But when I study religions, there are things I take away from it. And one of the things I take away from it is when if a Christian comes to me and says something, it says, well, if you love this earth, you don't love me. And so, in other words, if this is fun to you, you don't love me because there's so much corruption. How could you be enjoying this? How could this be fun? So you should be striving every day to correct the situations that you see that are wrong around you. If you're, laughing and joking and jolly, then you're not fixing it. And so that was my passion, was to fix things. And part of my frustration is that I can't. But part of the things that bring me at peace is that I have no excuse except to concentrate on myself. I have no excuse except to concentrate on getting myself better. So what I do, I have had a I have a question, Miss TR, if you're still here. Do you do you have fatigue? Do you have chronic fatigue? Cuz that my biggest struggle is that. And so what I've been doing is I got a physical therapist, a pulmonology therapist, and then I go to the gym to try to get, based on the therapist's instruction. And so that does help me uh, keep from getting depressed. Okay, so it helps me. Thank you. It helps me. So I'm trying to find out ways that I can make the most out of the life I have. In hindsight, I wish I would have made more out of life. I don't know how, because I used to, I was always like really active. So there's a part of me that I miss. But when we talk about relationships changing, that's probably the worse than, I actually say that's worse than radiation. I don't know about chemo. It's worse than radiation. Um, the physical change to my body than the emotional uh, aspect of being attached to people that weren't really attached to me or really don't. Maybe they were attached to old me. And I'm having to grieve the loss of the people, not the loss of myself, because I could have lost everything and everybody. So I'm thankful that I'm still here. But the loss of the old me and people who keep trying to reach out to the old me, I have to mourn her because she's not here. But there are parts of her I'm glad are gone. The parts that took life for granted, the parts that actually gave them the time of day, the parts that um, I mean, there's so many emotions that go with it, and I feel like I'm okay. Yes, Miss TR. What I did, I actually I joined the gym, and it was like it the gym is the type of their type of regimen is not like really harsh, where you could just kind of sit on like a regular bicycle and do it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you want to do. They show you how it works. You do that and you leave, and it was only $10 a month. Um, if you if your body can withstand it, I would recommend it. What I do to make sure that I feel like I'm progressing, I don't even care if I can only do it 5 minutes. I do it and then put it down and see if I can do it again. But see if you can, if you're not doing it now, see if you can do it or get it recommended or see if the doctor says it's okay. Um, I don't know if it'll remove PTSD because I know I have it. Oh my gosh, I know I have it. And you could tell, like, the one thing about PTSD is if a person's in the military and they're coming back from the war or coming back from the military, and maybe their brain won't tell them that they'll never have to go through it anymore. But with cancer, nobody can tell you that. Oh, okay, chronic back pain. Yeah, you would probably have to ask your doctor. Oh, if you have, and that's a whole another video about health insurance. But it could be something where you could get physical therapy. Because that's what I'm in pulmonary therapy. I was scared to touch or do anything because everything I did hurt. And I had been through enough. I didn't want to go through anything else. I If I could just lay in the bed all day, I would. But it messed with me mentally. It does. It still does. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I think radiation does something too because one of my teeth was like it just went it just messed up. And they said, "Well, we only concentrated the radiation in one spot, your your chest, because I had chest wall radiation." No, there's a reason that they leave you and put you in a sealed closed door and sit behind a glass and can't work until they are cleared. No, it even if they concentrate the radiation on one part of your body, it comes out on other parts. And so, like, even on my face, like, they said they thought I had sunspots, but actually it was dead skin where the radiation is coming out of skin on my face, even though they concentrated on the chest. Um, my cancer was pretty aggressive, so I'm pretty sure I had really strong radiation, but it affects your body. And I can only imagine because having teeth fall out is really traumatic. I chipped a tooth and it stuttered me. This had nothing to do with cancer at all, but just the fact, and it was just like a small chip and it smoothed itself over. But when it happened, it shocked me. So to have aesthetically, and this is what bothers me the most, is that they act like you don't deserve them, like the little money that you get from this, that you don't deserve it when something happens dentally. That is expensive. And I don't understand why people are fighting in these elections. They're allowing someone to, or saying that they don't want medical insurance. They call it Obamacare, and it's actually affordable health care. And I'm going to get back into that in another video. Anybody can get cancer. And if you feel like you're eating healthy, I promise you, your children can get cancer. There is a children's cancer hospital. The children hospital is so, oh my gosh. Miss TR, like, you a soldier. Next time when I do it live, I want you to come on with combat fatigues. I want you to teach us because this is This is serious. It pay out of pocket. Oh my God. That that is why are people fighting over this? They're talking about most of a lot of our tax money is going to wars against people who are not even bothering us. And if it was about us living and dying, then more money would go to the people who are fighting cancer, fighting diseases. Like supplement the farmers so they can give. When they put institute tariffs, they're taking money from farmers. You're supposed to. This is so backwards. Oh my God. I feel like I don't know. I know I can't save the world, so this is crazy. But yeah, battle fatigue. I get some. I don't have any green paint, but we need pink paint. But this is it's hard because nobody's really celebrating our battle. Yes, thank God for your daughter. She was a blessing to you, and you were a blessing to her. And that's how this works. That is how this works. We're blessings to each other, and we're not individuals. And that's several videos. Yes, ma'am. We are blessed. It sounds like I'm complaining, but I'm just really venting because um and your commentary and just your support is something I needed and I do need, and hopefully because I'm this is going to be a live broadcast, somebody else is going to need it too. So if oh, beautiful. There's some and the other blessing is there are people who have children that won't do anything for them. There are people, even in my family, their children, like my grandmother had 10 children, but she could count on her hands how many would actually take care, you know? Yeah, I appreciate it. And um yeah, this you actually contributed so much to the discussion. I'm about to end the live. So, I mean, yeah, this helps me a lot. It helps me understand it locally. Um, let me I'm gonna put my email here, and then I'll give you my phone number through that email. But I appreciate you so much, Miss TR. You've been a really good contributor to the live that's gonna help others and definitely for myself. I really peace and blessings to everyone on the stream, and anyone share this video if you can. Then we can reach a lot of other people as well. Love you, Miss TR, and I mean that. Peace.